welcome to America's Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Desma, and welcome to today's show. We're going to have a pretty interesting one today. Pretty interesting one. I did a podcast here before a couple of days ago. It was about voting, early voting. Hopefully you guys got your early voting done. And if you didn't, well, I suggest go out there and go do it, man. It's you really have to get out there and get your early vote done. So that way you can make a difference in the world of the presidency, man. It's super important to get it done, man. There's nothing more important than that, right? Because right now we're in the middle of elections, whether you're left or right, in the middle, in between, doesn't matter, as long as you go out there and vote and make a difference on whatever side that you want, right? Whatever appeals to you as far as the person that's running for president, right? It could be Kamala, it could be Trump, or any independent that's still in the ballot. And there is one there, actually, because we saw it there. So they still have a few independents in there as well, if you just don't like either or, right? But that's the good thing about being American. You get to do those things. But welcome to America's Podcast. I hope you guys are enjoying today's beautiful day outside. It's nice and warm still down here in South Texas. And, we just try to stay out of the heat, man. We're still running our air conditioners at full blast, man. Full blast. That's just the way it is. It's still, we're still hitting 90-degree weather over here. And I was just looking up northern Colorado, all those other places. They're getting snow and nice foliage, all that good stuff that comes along with it, right? And I'm like, wow, I really like to be there. Maybe next time, right? Maybe we can get out there next time. But we're just so busy people, like I explained before. And if you're new to America's Podcast, welcome. We are on iHeartRadio, Spotify. We just now landed Apple Podcasts. So if you got an iPhone, catch us on there as well. We are on Amazon Music as well. If you have the Amazon Music app, look for America's Podcast there. We are there as well. Right, we got a lot of new stuff coming, right? As far as the information, and we are unbiased here, so we don't go left, we don't go right, we don't go to mid. We pretty much give you all the information you need to know when it comes to political standings, right? If it's anything American, we're just going to say it like it is, right? And this is what America's Podcast is about, and not just politics. We talk about news. We talk about farming. We will talk about everything that has to do American, right? Even the military. Speaking of, thank you for the America's military that's out there. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Space Force, National Guard, Coast Guard, and all the wonderful people that are out there serving on our United States military. We salute you. Thank you for being the true American patriot, because that's exactly what you are. You are fighting and defending the United States of America. That is patriotism without a doubt, man, without a doubt. I love each and every one of those, man. Every time I see a naval officer or, even a Army or National Guard or something, where they're wearing the patch and they're proud to have that uniform on, it gives me the chills, man, because I'm like, man, I wish I could have done that. And I didn't get to do it, unfortunately. I was the only son. My mom and my dad, they were just, no, you're not going to do it. They were afraid. That's all. And I get it. But, I should have been a military guy, man. I swear I would have been a really good one. I know I could have. Anyway, thank you guys for that. For serving America and keeping us safe. And, today's podcast, we're going to be talking a little bit about nuclear or unclear. And the reason I call that, because right now we're in a very edgy part of politics as far as the other countries involved in what's happening in these different areas of politics, man. Right now we have Russia, we have China, we have the Philippines, we have all these United Nations getting together, and they're all talking about, kind of working with each other's, not just for military uses, but because the economic standards is coming into play. And that usually comes first, because Without money in your pocket, you can't fund your military, right? And that's basically what's happening. They go where the economics are first, because wherever they're shaking hands with or being political with, in other words, I'll buy yours, you buy mine, and we'll give you a good deal, you give us a good deal, and this is how they make money, and they grow their countries, grow their military, they grow their weapons, they grow their airplanes, every part of their military industrial complex, they get it all built up, right? And they have to use the economic standards and needs in order to get that growing, right? So right now we're in the middle of Ukraine. Of course, they've been in war with Russia for a little over a year and a half now, maybe 2 years already, and then now, of course, we have the Israel and Hamas and all that. There's been in war for a good while now, since October. It's already past a year now, and so things are getting pretty edgy right now, right? And it's hard not to be unsettled of this unsettling news, because right now we're on the edge of insanity, really, in reality, man. That's just the way it is. It's the edge of everything, right? And so we have to watch not just our politics that are going on here in the United States of America. We have to watch what's going on around the world. I love to watch other world news from other countries, because they give me everything I'm looking for. In other words, because a lot of these, I hate to say it, but a lot of these local, in other words, United States news organizations, a lot of times are one-sided. They're only going to talk politics for like 9 hours and 12 hours, and then you'll get about 30 or 45 minutes of world news. Okay, so I love to go to these other ones like Euronews and different news organizations out there. I go online everywhere, X, because this gives me everything I need to know what's happening around the world. You have to know this, man, because you don't want to get caught, and I hate to say it this way, but you don't want to get caught with your pants down, right? And this is what I'm trying to say, is like, if any country attacks the United States or any other country around the world, they're going to hit them when they least expect it, right? And this is what I mean by getting caught with your pants down. That is that, all right? And we don't want to be in that situation because we didn't know what was happening in the background, right? So please, I insist and I inform for you guys to be more informative on what's happening around the world. Go look at your world news. Find out what's going on in Russia. Find out what's going on in Ukraine. Find out what's going on in China, Philippines, all these other places, because Taiwan especially, because we don't know what's going to happen, man. So if China decides to attack Taiwan, they're already in Russia's pocket already. Russia and China already in each other's pockets. They're sending money to each other. They're sending troops to each other. Actually, more are going to Russia because Russia is starting to lose a lot of troops per day. So that is exactly what's happening right now, right? And I'm not saying it. They're saying it out there. It's in the news. This is exactly what's happening. Did you know that? I did not know that. I thought it was just, Russia, but I thought he was just getting money to get more weapons, tanks, ammo, things like that for his war, to fund his war. No, he's running out of actual his military. They are actually losing at least 2,000 per day, which is injured or killed, right? That's a lot of people to lose in a day. Now, how long has this been going on? Over a year and a half, right? Multiply that by the day, right? So if you got 2,000 times 12, there you go. That's how many people they're losing, okay? Or times 30 and then times another 12 on that, right? So you're going to get it's a large number of military personnel that Russia is losing at this very day and moment in time, because of the war that he insisted on doing with Ukraine, right? And how do we figure it out? Like, what is it what is the ultimate thing that he wants out of this? I don't know, man. I don't know, but I think it has a lot to do with economics and to kind of pick up their pocketbooks a little bit, right? So I'm going to play this little article for you guys so that way you guys can know a little bit what I'm talking about, and that way you'll know where the economic standards is coming from. I'm going to play a little bit of this. Here we go.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has met with multiple world leaders at a summit of the BRICS bloc of developing economies. Attended by the leaders of China, India, Turkey, and Iran, among others, Putin praised the summit's role as a counterbalance to what he called the West's, quote, perverse methods. With 36 countries represented, the summit highlighted the failure of U.S.-led efforts to isolate Russia over Ukraine.
Переход к более справедливому мироустройству идет непросто. Его становление тормозят силы, привыкшие мыслить и действовать в логике доминирования над всем и вся. За ширмой.
So he's pretty much just telling you that that he's just kind of giving them their terms right now of everything and everyone that's inside that meeting right now. Now, if you didn't understand Russian, I'm actually just reading out the captions that are on there. I cannot read Russian. I don't understand Russian, but I'm giving you guys an idea of what's happening behind the scenes, right? So that's exactly what's happening. He's got these people all together. They're having these little meetings, and they're kind of going through economic standards, right? And just saying, hey, we'll help you out here, you help us out here, and everybody's kind of in each other's pocketbook so they can fund each other's war. And it to you, if it doesn't seem that way, it is that way to me. And we have to be real careful of exactly what happened here recently, right? And now there was an article here in Newsweek, and it was talking about China, and it was talking about how Russia wants to change its nuclear policy, right? So it says China Monday reiterated that nuclear weapons should not be used after it causally Russia warned intends to change its policy, such as weapons. It says that the Western escalation of the war in Ukraine, right? It says China repeatedly reiterated that the nuclear weapons cannot be used, or that nuclear war cannot be fought. Said a Chinese foreign ministry, right? Mao Ning says during his press conference. And then Rybakov on Sunday stated that he says it's a clear intent to make changes to the country's nuclear doctrine. He says, saying this decision was related to escalation by Western adversaries of the conflict in Ukraine, right? So in other words, he's just saying anybody that helps Ukraine, it's kind of saying, well, you know what? It's if you're using anything that has anything to do with nuclear, it could be a missile that's kind of infused with it or something like that. It's considered as nuclear threat to us, right? And it said since 2020, the nuclear doctrine stipulates that this may employ its nuclear arsenal in an event of a nuclear attack or enemy controversial attack that threatens the existence of the state. However, Rybakov, whatever his name is, did not elaborate or when any updated nuclear doctrine would be ready, right? So they want to change this, man. They want to change this to where it's like, hey, you use something that's close to that, we're going to change our ways and we're going to use nuclear weapons. Now, he's been saying this since last year. I remember he did a few threats out there, and now he's starting to mention it more and more every day, right? Or every week or so. Which means it's very heavy on his mind. And that is not a good thing, right? That is not a good thing at all, because we need to figure out, okay, so if he's going to be using, has this on his mind, then what else does he have on his mind, right? As far as using nuclear weapons. Me personally, I just think that if you use a nuclear weapon, right, of any sort or whatever, you're looking at a major catastrophe of nuclear fallout, right? So wherever these nuclear weapons are not little anymore, they're not like what happened in Nagasaki and Hiroshima, right? So there are 10, 15, 20 times bigger, maybe 200 times bigger with the megaton factor that we have on nuclear weapons and warheads, right? So any bomb goes off on any state, let's just say one gets launched into the United States and maybe Washington State, Oregon State, the whole state is gone, okay? Not just 100 miles, 200, it's gone. It's like you're going to have nuclear fallout, man, for 200 years. That land is going to be no good, okay? So if they were to use any nuclear weapon anywhere in the world, that land that they dropped it on will be no good. There will be nuclear fallout at least for 200 years. The ground will be contaminated, fully contaminated. And it'll take a while to either recover, pick it up, or whatever. But that is something that we can make sure that it should not happen, right? we should not use nuclear weapons. But I believe because Putin is losing so many of his military people per day, he's this person that does not want to give up. He does not going to say, I got defeated. And by doing this, launching a nuclear weapon or getting in cahoots with China, even though China doesn't want it, because they know that if a nuclear weapon does get launched, they're going to get blamed for it as well, right? And even if anybody survives, it could be catastrophic for both countries, right? Because if you think that somebody's going to shoot a nuclear weapon at the United States and we're not going to retaliate in return, you have another thing coming, right? This is exactly what's going to happen, right? It depends who's president, who survives, who doesn't survive. You're looking at something that's going to be majorly life-changing, right? And this is for everyone in the world, not in your country, in the world is going to get affected, right? Because you thought COVID was bad. This would be 10 times as worse, okay? Everything would get shut down completely because of the nuclear fallout. You don't know which direction it's going to go, winds, anything like that, right? And I'm not here to scare you or scare anybody. This is the truth and the realities of nuclear war. And we cannot allow that to happen, right? We have to stop these people from getting their mindset a lot further than it is. Now, there's another, here's a little article that I want you guys to hear from CNN. This was maybe a few days ago, about a day ago. So listen to what they have to say here. It's pretty interesting.
For the first time, senior U.S. officials confirmed that North Korea is sending troops to Russia. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin tells reporters this morning that it's unclear why they're there, but if they're sent to Ukraine to fight for Russia, Austin says it would be a serious issue and a sign that Vladimir Putin may be in, quote, even more trouble than people realize.
CNN's Oren Lieberman joins us now live from the Pentagon. And Oren, it was actually South Korea's spy agency that alerted the U.S. to this. What has the Pentagon been able to confirm thus far?
So you're right to point out that South Korea and also Ukraine have said that North Korea has sent thousands of troops to Russia to fight on behalf of Russia in Ukraine. Now, the U.S. hasn't gone that far. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said the U.S. is now able to say that they have seen thousands of North Korean troops go from North Korea to Russia. The key question is, of course, what are they there to do? The U.S. has said that Russia is suffering 1,200 casualties in Ukraine each day. That includes both killed and wounded, and that speaks to the need that Russia has for more troops. Now, the question is, are these North Korean troops going to Russia to get training to fight in Ukraine? Well, that would mean that the largest land war in Europe now involves the Far East as well, and that's specifically what the U.S. is looking for. Here is Austin earlier today.
All right, so now you know. So now we've got North Korea going and sending its troops over there, right? And because this is what I was speaking of earlier, he's losing his military is going downhill, right? And he's not. And what's happening is he's not going to retreat, right? So now he's in the pockets of North Korea. So what do we do in a situation like this, right? This is what I'm trying to tell you guys out there. This is bigger than what you think it is. A lot of people will shake their heads and say, no, you have to be on total awareness on what's going on out there, because this is totally going to be devastating for either country if something happens to go wrong, right? And what are we going to do about it? I don't know, man. This is a scary, scary topic, and as horrible as, like I said, as it sounds, you know, we have to stop these people, have to stop this mentality of war, right? Because it's starting to escalate everywhere now. Now we got the Lebanon involved with the Palestinians, and then the Palestinians, and then now, you know what I'm trying to say here? Now here we go all over again. So. We had already defeated ISIS already, and now everything's going to start building up all over again. Tensions are starting to get very, very hectic right now, and we have to watch what's going on in our politics, not just our local politics, but in the world of politics, because something's definitely changing. And I know Putin has said this 2 or 3 times, and we have to make sure that he doesn't follow through with his threats. Because do you think he's going to warn anybody before he pushes a button? Hell no, he's not. He's not going to warn anybody. He's just going to launch, man. And it ain't just going to be one. They're going to launch 5 or 6 of them, maybe 10 at one time. Because that would confuse the masses, and we wouldn't be able to stop every single one of them, right? And that's the mentality of these people. To me, it's derangement, man. It's like, why would you want to destroy so many people, right? It's evil. That's what it is. I don't know if you saw that movie Oppenheimer. You know, he just said, "What have I done? I have created the destroyer of worlds." Right? This is exactly what he did. He thought he was doing something good, but in return, it came out to be something bad. Because he knew that the fusion and the fission together made that nuclear bomb. And, you know, it's destruction. No matter how you put it or how you see it, it's all destructive. And there's no way around it, right? We have to figure out exactly, you know, what's going on in the world today, and how is it that we're going to fix this, right? And it starts with us, really, in reality, to know exactly who we're voting for and who's going to do this, who's going to stop this man, really, in reality. Let's take a real quick break. We'll be right back in just a second.
You're listening to America's Podcast.
All right, guys, welcome back. So, you know, we were just talking about how we were able to stop this guy if possible, right? And how do we do this? Well, it's through our politicians. Unfortunately, they're the ones that are in control of what's going on around the world. And really, in reality, if you think about it this way, this is why they do the embargoes and all the things that they do to a lot of these countries that decide to have war with other countries that have nothing to do with anything. They just start attacking them. They embargo everything. In other words, they stop the flow of their fuel. They stop the flow of the goods that are going into the country. They stop the fuel of oil and food and everything, because they want to make sure that they hit them in the pocketbook. And that's exactly what they're doing when they do these embargoes, right? They have to. I mean, it's not going to stop them completely, but it's going to slow the hell out of them down really, really good. So, and this is why it's really important this is where you hit most people that are in this kind of state of mind of war to take over or for destruction. Is to hit an embargo. That's what you do, man. You shut them off, cut off their oil, cut off everything. Seems cruel, but I'd rather have that and people live than a nuclear bomb drops in that country and thousands or even millions of people perish because of it, right? Does it make sense to you? Makes sense to me. I'm just looking at this open-minded, right? You might lose a few people, yeah, through hunger, whatever, but you're not going to lose millions, right? And that's the main focal point, is because humanity, we need to survive. This is a survival factor right now. If we wipe out humanity, then who are we, right? We're not going to have nothing or nothing anymore. If nuclear bombs go off in each country around the world, we pretty much devastated Earth, right? So we have to make sure that this does not happen. I got one more clip to show you, and so you can hear. And it's about what's happening out there in the UK with the war. Let's hear this.
from Vladimir Putin to the West, but this one is more specific than previous ones, though. So as President Zelensky was addressing the UN, President Putin here was addressing his Security Council about changing Russia's nuclear doctrine, which is the document that defines when and how Russia could use nuclear weapons. Currently, it states that they can be used if the security of the state is at risk, which is quite a nebulous concept, of course. Now, Vladimir Putin has said he wants to change that and be more specific so that to allow Russia to respond with nukes to an attack by any state using conventional weapons. So, for example, drones, missiles and aircraft. And that's not all. He also said that Moscow would consider any assault from a non-nuclear power that's supported by a nuclear power to be a joint attack. And you don't have to be a military genius to understand that he was referring there to Ukraine being supported by NATO. It was a very thinly veiled warning indeed. So why is he saying this now? It's all a response to this issue being mulled by the UK and the US still over whether or not to allow Ukraine to use Western weapons to strike deeper inside Russia. They still haven't reached an agreement on that. Russia is trying to redefine its red lines, which I think have become a bit blurred of late because previous threats from the Kremlin haven't been followed through on. For example, the West has supplied missiles, tanks and aircraft, F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine without any consequence from the Kremlin, despite the threat of retaliation. And there have been so many nuclear threats, loose nuclear threats from the Kremlin of late, that I think there's a sense they've started to lose their impact, started to lose their meaning. So this, I think, is an attempt to redefine these threats, be more specific, be more defined and be more tangible. But the fundamental question remains, and that is this another bluff from Vladimir Putin, or is it for real?
Is it a bluff or is it for real? That's from Sky News. So, I don't know. What are your thoughts? Could it be a bluff? Or could he finally push the button? What does he have to gain by using one of those anyway? Right? I mean, if he can't and kind of think about it this way in a war kind of sense, if he's losing so many men and because his defenses are weak, that's pretty much what that's telling you. His defenses are weak. So if he's losing that many men every day, how is he going to defend his people if a nuclear weapon is launched towards his area after he launches one first? He's not going to. He's barely defending his men on the ground right now. He's not going to have the abilities to protect his people there, right? So they're going to get hit, definitely. So could he be pulling a, maybe not, maybe, I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell, but you never know what somebody's thinking, right? Putin says, if someone's actions threaten our sovereignty and territorial integrity, we will consider it possible for us to use all means at our disposal. He says, this should not be taken lightly. So, he's ready to do what he has to do. And it seems to me like he's kind of backed in a small corner because now he's got China, now he's got North Korea in his pocket. And it says the Stockhorn International Peace and Research Institute estimated that as January of this year, Russia maintains the largest nuclear stockpile of the world of 4,380 deployed or stored warheads. The U.S., China, France, and the U.K. have 3,708,500. Well, a lot. And they have. This is how many weapons they have, and warheads they have, and we have 225 nukes, respectively. Right. That's enough. That's enough to blow this whole planet in pieces. That is a scary, scary, scary scenario, man. I don't know about you, but yeah, I don't like that we have that many warheads and nuclear weapons. You only need one, man. And to have that many, just think about it. It's horrible. It would be totally catastrophic. Life as we would know it would be gone. Everything would be gone. Everything. This is why that Oppenheimer says, "What have I done?" Yeah. It's a horrible thing, man. And we have to monitor what's going on around the world, around what Putin is doing, what China is doing. What this is why they're targeting Taiwan. Taiwan's a small little country out there, man, but they have a large. They ship out a lot of economic things to all over the world, right? They want that. China wants that. That just adds more money in their pocket. Now, we've seen Xi Jinping kind of go both ways. This is the president of China. We've seen him go, well, now we just read earlier about on Newsweek that he doesn't want them to use nuclear weapons. Okay, so if you don't want Russia to use nuclear weapons, then why are you giving him money? Why are you giving him ammo? Why are you giving him tanks? Why are you giving him airplanes? Why are you giving him all that, right? So he doesn't use it? I don't know. It's like, how much candy do you give to a child before all his teeth rot out, right? That's the thing. Before they start crying in pain because they have cavities, right? So you can't do that. You can't baby him. You're just going to make it worse. And then you can't play neutral either because you're feeding it. You're feeding the animal. Which I'm talking about China with Russia. Now North Korea with Russia. You're feeding the animal. And don't think that animal's not going to bite. Because all they're looking is for the best interests of their country's money, right? Economic standards. That's basically all it is. Money and power, man. That's how it runs. So, if you guys are out there, just watch what's going on around the world. Be prepared. Keep an eye out for everything. Know who you're going to vote for this election season here in a couple of weeks. And I hope everything goes well. You know, we're living in a very edgy time. And I believe we shouldn't. I think we should just kind of all work together as one, as patriots. Doesn't matter. Left, right, in between. Doesn't matter. Because in the end, if any of this happens to any country, there is not going to be no race, color, religion, nothing. It's only going to be human beings and survival. That's all there's going to be. All right? And this is what it's about. So you have to stick together as countrymen, right? Whether it's the United States, Europe, whatever, stick together because it's, in the long run, all we have is each other, man. All we have is each other. That's right. So be patriots for your country. Stay on top of the news, because that's what it's about. Hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast here at America's Podcast. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Deezer, CastBox, Amazon Music. You can even ask Alexa. Yeah. Hope you guys are enjoying this content here of America's Podcast. We're going to have some new coffee coming up, man. It tastes so good. America's Podcast coffee. Yeah. You'll see it. You'll see it. It'll be coming out here soon. Ready for you guys to drink it up early in the mornings. Nice cup of Joe. All right, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. We'll catch you on the next one. Y'all have an amazing day. Remember, be patriots. Go out and vote early. Get her done. Get her done, man. Go get her done. That's what it's about. You guys have yourselves a good day. See you on the next America's podcast.